What I
Close
would like to
call.
talk about, it feels like there are two things happening in the sports world right now that has
Hmm.
everyone's attention, and I feel
Hmm.
like we should talk about those. One of them, maybe this is what we start with, is the rise and fall of the European Soccer Super League that lasted like 36 hours and just
Yes,
came out of
yes,
nowhere
yes.
like a meteor and just exploded. I had no idea this was happening. I'm not as plugged into soccer as I wish I was. I love soccer. It is my favorite sport to watch. I mean that literally. I'm not saying that for effect. I genuinely love just throwing on soccer games, but for whatever reason, it's like hard to follow, and especially the Premier League, living on the West Coast is impossible to follow because those games are
Well, you'd have to
it's
get up at what, 3 in the
yeah,
morning?
they start so I've kind of like fallen out of like following soccer, but if there's a soccer game on, I'm watching it
Right.
100%. I'm putting it on and watching it. So that's my so I say that to say that like I love soccer and even this came out of nowhere to me. I did not know
Yeah.
anything about this. It just one day I logged on to the internet, I signed in, I typed in my password on the internet. I was like, I'm gonna do some internet today, and I hit enter, and then it said Super League Europe, and I was like, "What the hell? Where did this come from?" And then
Do you know how
it
I felt
disappeared
about that?
immediately. What's that?
About the logging on, and we'll get into its disappearance, but logging on and seeing Super League, and like all of a sudden there was just so much drama about it. I felt like everybody had known about this for years, and I was the
Yes,
only one who didn't know what was going on.
I felt the exact same way. Like this has been talked about for like 8 years, and
Yeah.
they finally are doing it. And I was like, "Well, why am I just now hearing about this?" I was like, "Is this my fault or your fault for not telling me? Like, whose fault is this?
Seriously.
What's going on
I
here?"
don't and why and like what? Like
Yeah.
I just felt I immediately felt stupid and out of the
Yes.
loop when
Well,
the
this
Super
is
League
this
happened.
this is what's so hilarious about it is like it comes out of nowhere. I was like, how do I not know about this? I mean, the basics are pretty simple. Like all the richest clubs in Europe, the ones that quote unquote matter, got together and were like, why do we need these other bums? Let's just start our own league. But I wanted to read about the specifics because I was like, yeah, this blindsided me. I knew nothing
Yeah.
about this.
Yeah.
So as I started reading about it, news broke that it's off. You know what I mean? Like as I finally got to a point where I sort of understood what happened,
Yeah.
everyone's like, yeah, it's all the English clubs have backed out, so it's not happening anymore. I
I
was like,
also
cool.
love that it's somehow like at one point during this whole thing, JP Morgan was trending on Twitter because of a European Super League soccer situation, and people were livid. And I was like, "Is this the communist revolution? Like, is it going to be? Are we going to get socialism because of the Super League? Like, is that what this has come to?"
Oh,
And
definitely. Definitely. I think if there's like a global type shift in things, it's going to happen because of either sports or trash television. Those are the two things that I feel like can
yes,
like shift
and honestly.
geopolitics. It's the thing.
This is what we've come to. I mean, yes, that is so true. And so I was like, oh, okay, so this is the revolution. Like, I should get my copy of the Communist Man. Do you know there's this, there's one tweet that I think of on Twitter a lot where it's from like 2015 where someone tweeted, "Welcome to Twitter. Here's your copy of the Communist Manifesto and a subscription to Monday Night Raw." Because like everybody on Twitter is always just like tweeting about wrestling or like
Yes.
socialism. And that's not true anymore, but that was definitely anyway, so yeah, I feel like they were the general sentiment. I'm going to be honest, Mark, I don't fully understand what happened, but I get the idea
It's
that
the gist is
fans.
this. The
Yeah.
gist was this, Charlotte. Here's what
Can you
happened.
mansplain this to
I'll
me?
mansplain this to you. And I am. This is the blind leading the blind. This is the equivalent
Tell
of
me
like
like
a.
I'm 5. Tell
Yeah,
me like
well,
I'm
this is like a 7-year-old explaining it to a 5-year-old. So like anyone who's like 8 or older is listening to this and is saying like, "What? No."
Shout out to our 5-year-old fans.
So there are a handful of soccer leagues in Europe, as we know. There's a Spanish league. There's the English Premier League seems to be the most popular, certainly stateside. I don't know if it's because it actually is the best. I would assume so, but also maybe it's just because the commentators speak English, and that's why we like it the most over here. There is a French league that basically only has one team that matters: Paris
What
Saint
team is that?
Germain. Paris
Oh yeah.
Saint Germain. Saint Germain.
Paris Saint-Germain.
Saint Germain.
I once got a T-shirt of that.
There's a German league that's pretty good, but it's also pretty top heavy.
Bundesliga.
Bundesliga. There's an Italian league called Serie A. So there's all these leagues. They have a Champions League, the UEFA Champions League, where every year the best teams from the year before compete concurrently, which means at the same time, I believe. as their
Huge
domestic
if
leagues.
true.
So, say like every year the Champions League is made up of like the top 4 teams from England, the top like 3 from Germany or something like that, the top 2 or 3 from Italy, and they all like have this Champions League going on at the same time. So like you'll play, you'll
Oh,
play
so
your.
they're not excluded from their domestic league. They're just
No, they
playing
play
double
at
the
the same
games.
time. They play like double games, yeah. And then they have like these little windows built in where it's like now it's Champions League time, and they're competing for this Champions League now.
Wait,
they
wait, wait.
started-
That's what the Champions League is?
No, not yet. This was the system pre-Super
No,
League.
but not the Super League, but the
Yes.
Champions League.
That's what the Champions League is. Yeah, is all
Oh,
the
I've
best
never
teams in
understood
Europe
that.
competing. So what
Thank
was
you, Mark.
happening is basically the English league. I believe you get 4 spots, and this is the part where it starts to fall apart because I don't entirely remember how the system works. But
In
I
the
believe
Super League?
no, in the Champions League. In the
Oh.
Champions League, you would get the top 4 teams. Whoever would qualify based on the season before, the top
Okay.
4 teams get to go into the Champions League. All right.
Yeah.
So what was happening is that the richest teams in England were looking around saying like, this is bullshit that like we have to qualify for this. Like I'm Manchester United. I make
Oh,
more
yeah.
money than everyone else. Why do I have to actually go earn it on the field? I should be in the Champions League already. I should get a free pass.
What?
That's what people want to watch. They want to watch me. They don't want to watch Leicester City. Congratulations, Leicester City. You won the Premier League. Take your damn trophy. Get the hell out. No one wants to watch you in the Champions League. That's what they were saying, basically.
Do you know what this is?
What?
Do you know what the Super League is? That all of those teams that are saying that, even if they haven't earned it, or if they used to be great, or if they, whatever their status is, that's Boston sports.
Yes, it's Boston sports.
All of those teams that are like, everybody wants to watch us. We matter the most.
We matter the most.
Why would
Why-
anybody not like us?
So here's the thing, though. They're not wrong. All the
Oh.
best teams and all these teams in Europe are the teams that everybody wants to watch. And so they all got together and they're like, we are the only teams that matter. Nobody cares about Fulham. Nobody cares about West Bromwich Albion. They care about Liverpool, Man United, et cetera, et cetera. Man City. Like these are the ones they care about. So they called up Barcelona, Real Madrid, and Juventus and whoever else. And they were like, we're the only teams that people care about. Why don't we just like cut the fat, start our own league? And we don't have to qualify for it or anything. Like we're in because we matter, and
And we'll
that's
make
basically.
even more money.
And we'll make even more money because like everybody will watch us because who the hell wants to watch those other teams? Who want? It's the equivalent of yeah.
It's
I
what
mean,
you say the NBA is becoming.
the NBA is becoming that. Who wants to watch the Pacers play the Pistons when all we really care about is the Lakers and the Celtics and the on and on and on, right? So that's kind of what they did. They decided to all trim the fat. People lost their minds, obviously, and then apparently it's not happening now. So that's pretty much it. But what a
I just
fun 36
love-
hours it was.
I love that fans, it was like a populist uprising. They were like, you will not take our
Yeah.
teams from us. Because that's essentially what was going to happen, right? Like the other leagues would atrophy to the point where
nobody would care. Yeah,
right, it wasn't sustainable.
Yeah,
So
and that-
basically it would have turned soccer in Europe into those teams only.
Yes, yeah, and so that ultimately what happened was like FIFA, UEFA, I believe like all these governing bodies, because the Super League was going to be governed by its own deal. So all these other existing governing bodies said, if you do the Super League, you're done. You're out of our stuff forever. Like you can't play in the World Cup, you can't play in the Euro, which is a big deal to the European people. So if you're a player
To
and
the
you play, it's not as big of a deal in like in Iowa for some reason. The Euro, I don't know why.
Weird.
If you play in those, you will not be able to ever play in the World Cup. Is kind of what they said. And I don't know if that was true or if they were just threatening it. But whatever. Long story short,
Wow.
it backed out.
And so then yesterday it kind of all fell apart, right?
Yeah,
and
it all fell
or I
apart,
guess on
yeah.
Tuesday rather. And I just had a field day tweeting about it because I had no idea what was going on. Then all of a sudden I realized what was going on, and I realized that the story that was happening was not happening anymore as I was catching up on what was supposed to be happening. And I just completely lost my mind because my favorite thing in the world, Mark, I am obsessed with defunct sports leagues. I'm dead serious. I think like the XFL, the AFL.
Is the XFL defunct?
Okay. No.
It's back-ish. It's defunct. It's twice defunct, and this is 3.0
Yes.
with The Rock, right?
Yes.
Okay.
This is 3X, 3FL.
I know what you mean. I know, yeah, and I know what you mean though. XFL 1.0 is very different than what XFL 3.0 is.
And
So, like,
I loved 2.0. I thought 2.0 was the sweet spot. I was obsessed with it. It was like the XFL was like, at one point I had all these metaphors for what the XFL was, but the XFL was like, the friend who, like, the NFL is the honor student, gets straight A's, gets into a good college, everybody's really proud of it, and then the XFL is just as smart but didn't apply itself, gets in a little bit of trouble, ends up at community college, claws his way out, finally gets a 4-year degree, and then is just like running the coolest skate shop in town. And everyone's like, well, the XFL clearly came out on top. Like,
Yes,
that to
yes.
me is the essence of 2.0. And I'm a little worried about 3.0. I mean, I was excited when I was coming to Fox and they still had the XFL. I was like, oh man, maybe I could do XFL stuff. And then, the pandemic
3.0,
happened.
yeah, we're gonna have to keep an eye on 3.0. There's the potential's there for it to go too far, and now it's the kid that's living out of the van by the skate park, and
Yes.
you're like, that's not cool, dude. You're 34. Get a job.
And his parents are super rich, so you're
Yeah.
like, come on, we all see what you're doing. I don't know. What's your favorite defunct sports league?
I have two that come to mind when you ask me that. Number one is slam ball, which I think we've spent some time talking about on this show.
Yeah.
I don't even remember how long it lasted. It was one. I remember it being like dominating one summer when I was in high school. There was a run of the AN1 mixtape tour and slam
Yep.
ball at the exact same time, and I was just the right age to just be absolutely obsessed with both.
Totally.
And I don't remember how many years slam ball lasted, but I do remember that a guy like broke his arm or his leg in half, like had a compound fracture, just snapped in half, and that was. And then
That was it.
the guy goes to slam ball and he's like, "You guys are gonna pay for this, right, with your insurance?" And they were like, "Insurance," and started tugging on their collar.
They're like, insurance, I hardly know her.
And then I think that was the end of slam ball. I miss slam ball, so that was my first answer. The second one that comes to mind is speaking of like alternative football leagues, is NFL Europe. Do you remember NFL Europe, Charlotte?
Yes.
There was a
Oh my
league
God,
in the
yes.
summer where they would play in Europe, and it was. I remember the Rain Fire were a team. I
The
don't
rain
remember.
fire?
It was Rain Fire. Yeah, I'm gonna look this up.
Okay,
actually.
I don't
Rain-
remember this. I think I might have just lied when I said I remember this because it sounded like something I remembered, but I would remember rain fire. What
the
year was
Rain-
this?
Wait, is that how you pronounce rain? RHEIN? The Rain Fire.
Rhine?
Rhine? Is it Rhine? I always said
Oh,
rain because
buddy.
rain was
I
funny.
think that's a town in Germany.
It is in Dusseldorf, Germany.
Dusseldorf.
I'm not good at speaking any language other than
I do have really good German
English and
accent.
some Spanish. Dusseldorf. I can't do German or French. So, okay, Rhine.
Accents or in language?
Either one.
pronunciations?
I could speak Spanish. If you give me Spanish words,
I'm
I
just
can
saying I
pronounce
do
those,
a fairly decent German accent.
but- Oh, God.
Oh, yes. This is something I've worked very hard on for many years.
That's pretty
Sorry.
good. That's pretty good.
Well, it's
I
okay.
could do
I'm not
Australian.
warmed up.
I could do Australian if I've had a beer too. I mean, but
Oh,
I'm
I
not,
can't.
So.
To save my life.
Melbourne. That's about
Melbourne.
it. Melbourne.
Wow.
Melbourne or Sydney?
Say. Oh, I've done this too before. This is so embarrassing.
can't do it.
I'm starting to repeat my bits on the podcast. I think I've done this on this podcast. I was gonna say, rise up, lights.
Oh yeah, razor blades. That's
Yeah.
it. Yeah, that's the You've
See?
done. Rise
Damn.
of blades.
Rise of lights.
Rise of blades.
Rise
Melbourne.
Melbourne.
I'm from Melbourne.
I
Where
just
you
repeated
from?
after you say it. Melbourne. Anyway, what were we talking about?
We were talking about NFL Europe. Rhine Fire. I'm sorry. The Rain Fire sounds so much cooler, so I'm sticking with that. It was a
Rainfire
team.
sounds like the reboot of Fire and Ice. Did you ever have that restaurant?
Oh, yeah.
You know?
Anyway, I looked it up. They were a team. I remembered correctly. They were a team in Europe. But anyway,
What year was that? When did that
NFL
happen?
Europe. When was NFL Europe? Let me look that up. It
Was
in
NFL
the-
Europe like 2008?
Yeah, that feels right. It was again like when I was in high school over the summer. Right? That's what comes to mind.
Or
is
like
NFL.
05?
It was. It started in '91. It ended
wow.
in 07.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it had a good run.
the 05 through 09 were just like the weirdest years.
Yeah.
Like people were going a little, like the internet was not new, but it wasn't what it is yet. And so,
Yes.
and people were just like were just wilding out all the time. And like you didn't know that everything was going to come back to bite you, and like sports leagues were getting weird with it, and like it was just sort of like the
extreme. They were just like, you just throw like
Yeah.
XFLs, like X and the X Games.
Yes.
There was literally a movie called Triple X with Vin Diesel.
Yes, and then they have like Four Loko, like original strength Four Loko,
Yes,
and
yeah.
kids are like losing their mind. Yeah, so anyway,
just a lot of,
NFL Europe is a good one.
A lot of guys with backwards hats showing up on your TV and be like, "What's up, kids?" and snapping their fingers like they're packing dip.
And
they're
like pictures of them like this, and they're like, but they're like all loser white guys from Colorado.
Steal your parents' credit cards and log on to our website. I think that's how Dude Perfect was started. It was just like watching those videos.
Yes, definitely, 100%.
Is there anything else on the Super League? I mean, do you have defunct league? Is there another one other than XFL 1.0 that you love?
I mean, the AFL was really wild because it was Charlie Eberhard. Is that who it was?
That sounds right.
Was that the guy?
Know.
Yeah, I met him at a Super Bowl party once, and he was wearing an AFL starter jacket, and I was like,
That's a
"This
good
guy,
collector's
this
item,
guy's
honestly.
committed to the bit."
Yeah,
but I don't know. That one was more sad because a lot of people just like, I mean, they're all sad, but like the XFL ended because of the pandemic, and the AFL is just like, oh, we don't know how to manage our money.
It really is a bummer because I thought when I woke up this morning, I said to myself, I don't know why, I don't know how, it doesn't make any sense, but I really thought to myself, I would love if there were NFL football games on today.
Wow.
In April. I don't understand why that happened, but I just like woke up and I was like, man, it would be so dope if there were NFL games on. I would watch every second of them.
I get it. Because
I don't know
yesterday
why I
we
thought
started
that.
talking about the Chiefs, and then, we have a list coming up that I put an NFL thing on, and I was like, man, I really like watching football.
It's great. It's
Yeah.
not my favorite sport, but it's also like I don't know. It's like less a sport and more of just like a cultural just thing.
Yeah, it's
that
like putting a
exists.
movie on. And
Yeah,
you're like, let's put a
yes.
football game on.
Let's just throw a football game on.
And then you get obsessed, and you're like, what is
Can you
happening?
imagine going over to someone's house and they're just like going through their Rolodex? They're pulling out like VHS tapes and like, which football game you want to watch tonight? I got
You
the
want
91 Super Bowl. You
Eagles,
wanna watch that?
Lions, 96?
Hey pals, thanks for watching the People Sports Podcast YouTube channel. For more of mine and Mark's very weird rabbit holes, stick around, watch more. You can subscribe, smash that subscribe button. You know you want to. We're going to give you all the weird stuff we possibly can.